Welcome to Founders Focus, where Michelle and I talk with interesting people who are doing great things in their community. Today is another example of the many ways we're trying to help people. Our guests are going to go over the importance of financial planning and how people can donate and get a tax deduction at the same time. We always try to help people physically, mentally, and financially as they're aging.
Absolutely. Planning for tomorrow is so important. We're going to be discussing something that is beneficial for all of you to hear, and that is great information from experts at Strategic Lifelines. Check them out at strategiclifelines.com. We're so excited to introduce you to Brian and Fran Lynch, who are quite the dynamic duo.
And we should be seeing Fran and Brian within
Here they come. Here's Fran.
oh,
Hello.
Good afternoon. Is it that much better lighting than that god-awful my home?
Looks great. Thank you so much for joining us today.
yes.
And
My
I
pleasure.
know Brian will be
Brian
hopping
should be
on.
along shortly.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay. I think I'm going to have to put you back out in the waiting room and then admit you both at the same time, so it looks a little bit more succinct.
Yeah, and the other thing is, when I'm not talking or he's not talking, do you want us to go to stop video or do you want us to just stay on?
Nope, just stay on.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, you
Works.
look great. You're perfect.
I don't look like I'm an albino anymore, huh?
No. You must have gone to the tanning salon.
Well, no, I did not. This is more my real color. Well, you saw me the other day, but I'm just saying that it's good because I was sick as a dog all week. I was pushing myself to try to do that Wednesday. I was literally working 12-hour days where I should have been in bed. Today is the first day I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm about 3 days on antibiotics.
Oh, really?
He said he doesn't have the Zoom link. Can you send it to him again?
Oh, sure.
It's not letting him in or something.
All right, I'm going to put you in the waiting room and I'll send that over to him.
Okay.
Still recording.
Should we just start recording again? Should we just do it
It's
from the
still
start?
going. It's still going.
I know, but we have to cut it all. So instead of having to cut it, we could just start from here and then let them both in. You want to just quickly redo it? Take 2 seconds, and then that way I don't have to splice and dice.
Sure. Welcome to Founders Focus, where Michelle and I talk with interesting people who are doing great things in their community. Today is another example of the many ways we are trying to help people. Our guests are going to go over the importance of financial planning and how people can donate and get a tax deduction at the same time. We try to help people physically, mentally, and financially as they're aging.
Absolutely. Planning for tomorrow is so important. And we're going to be discussing something that's beneficial for all of you to hear. And that is great information from experts at Strategic Lifelines. Check them out at strategiclifelines.com. We're excited to introduce you to Brian and Fran, who are quite the dynamic duo.
I believe I see them in the waiting room, and they should be entering any minute.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We have Fran joining us. And I'm sure Brian will be joining us soon. How are you doing today, Fran?
Doing fabulous. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. I'm glad that we were able to meet a few weeks ago, and you and Brian have out in Cheshire, Connecticut. And we have some exciting things happening out that way that we'll talk about in just a few minutes once Brian joins the call.
He should be along shortly.
How's the weather?
It's the fall. It's nice out, honestly. That's what I expect. As long as we're not freezing for trick or treating with the grandkids, we'll be good Sunday night.
Absolutely.
I'm just looking for that there's no snow.
Yeah, there's
Believe
no
me.
snow yet.
It'll be soon enough.
I
Say we're supposed to have a bad winter. We'll see. I don't know.
yeah.
I'll take it as it comes. You know what? When I get a day off and I have a good reason not to be able to work, it's not a bad thing.
Did he get the email link? I have to cut it anyway. Did Brian get the email?
Do you want me to go check?
Well, I don't see him in the waiting room anywhere, so.
Yeah, I don't hear him screaming and panicking, so. And he is in the next office, so usually I will hear him before I see him. You sound like you got a little cough there too.
There we go.
No, I just had a little tickle in my throat.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was terrible. I was coughing my brains out for the last couple of days.
Okay, I'm gonna accept Brian in here, and then let's continue on as if we're on camera.
Sounds good.
All right, great. We're happy.
Here we
He is.
go.
There
Yes.
he is.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank
It's
you.
amazing how our offices are both decorated exactly the same.
It looks great.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
It's a nice.
I love your
background.
picture, by the way.
Thank you. We had a local artist from Mystic match our logo colors and create that for us.
Oh, very nice. Looks great.
So Fran, it's been wonderful hearing about all the ways you're helping people. But can you please let our audience know a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure, be happy to. So first of all, thank you very much for having us today. We really appreciate it. We're enjoying our relationship. And my background has been an interesting journey for sure. I was the first person in my family to actually attend college. And it was pretty much drilled into my head from the get-go that I was having an opportunity I better take advantage of. And I guess that's the substance that makes overachievers. So after high school, I went to a good Jesuit university, Fairfield University here in Connecticut. I played Division I soccer and I majored in pre-med. I graduated with honors. And then I went to Temple where I got my medical degree, graduated top of my class. And my post-grad training was in reconstructive foot and ankle surgery and pediatric orthopedics. When I came out, I had a lot of offers across the country to join different practices, but my wife and I really wanted to come back to Connecticut. All our family was here. Our parents were starting to get a little bit older. We wanted to be close to them. We knew they needed our help and our care, which is very germane to, our conversation today. So we came back and started from scratch. We bought a little broken down colonial in North Haven on money we borrowed from our parents. And we had no money to construct an office. So we built a 600 square foot office out of the home with our own two hands. And we just went to work. She was my assistant. I was the doctor. And fast forward 10 years later, we had 7 locations and one of the largest practices in the country for what we did. And that's when things started to get very complex, as you can imagine, especially with the changes in managed care. So somebody had to step into the role of CFO and run the practices, and that became me. And that was a wonderful experience because I hadn't had much business experience to that point. So I learned how to run a business, and I intimately interacted with all the financial members of our team. I was responsible for making sure all our partners, because we were big at the time, we had several partners, a large prerequisite of staff. And I had to make sure everybody's wills and trusts were in order, our operating and our buy-sell agreements were in order. I worked hand in hand with our benefit department and had a large role in overseeing the investments in our 401k plan and work with the other advisors in terms of the various insurances. So I developed quite an extensive background. And I did that for a couple of years, and it was tough. So much administrative work, it was tough to even being relegated only to the reconstructive surgical aspect of the practice. And the gentleman who is my partner today, and who was my advisor from literally the time I got out of school, he and I were talking. It was the end of a long day, a long month, a long year. He said, you'd be stellar in the financial service arena. You ought to come join me. So I decided to do it. And when I came into the industry, that was 2002. I focused predominantly on insurance planning when I first started. And then a couple of years later, I got all my wealth management degrees and started working on money management and wealth management. Then we got our benefit degrees and then eventually progressed to advanced fee-based planning. And then over the last 3 to 4 years, my partner and I have really specialized in a couple areas. Small business planning and advanced tax planning. And in fact, one of our roles is we are actually CPA team-based model consultants, where we consult with a variety of CPAs and other tax professionals to help them be a little bit more holistic and proactive in their planning for their clients. So it's been an interesting journey for sure.
Wow, that sounds like you've really been busy. And
Yeah, well, let me add to that. On a personal basis, I have 4 wonderful children. I've been married for 41 years to a great woman. We have 3 great grandchildren. And my passions are coaching youth sports. I've been doing it for 25 years. The other guy on the screen today, I had him from the time him and his brother and his sisters were little kids. I just got done, he and I, coaching scooters for baseball. We're circling back to the grandchildren now, and also enjoy fishing, also enjoy golfing and target shooting.
that's awesome.
Nice.
Amazing. You've had quite the professional experience of pivoting from being a doctor to now what you're doing today. And Brian, obviously is joining you on the path. And Brian, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself? We know you come from a large family, it sounds like, but we understand that many people might be alone and need a little bit of guidance on their financial future. And thank you both for trying to help some of our audience shed some light on how they can plan for the future.
Absolutely. And thank you. First, like my father had said, first and foremost, thank you for having us. We're excited to be here. We're excited to be, kind of collaborating with your organization. My journey is a little less illustrious than my father's. But after graduating high school, I enrolled at Southern Connecticut State University to study business and business finance. I've kind of always obviously been immersed in the financial world with father like Fran. It's kind of hard not to be. So at a young age, there's a lot of exposure to proper financial planning and structure. It was kind of inevitable. But over time, I truly respect the financial values that he instilled on us growing up, especially gravitating towards adulthood. So like most people my age, when I got out of high school, I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do. So after I had attended Southern, I pursued a career in HVAC and within the construction industry. As time went on, I was always kind of drawn back to the financial service arena. So I've seen a tremendous value and difference that my father has made and makes with his clients on a regular basis. So it kind of always was something in the background that struck something with me to move forward with. So, of recent, I have made the journey to kind of join the Strategic Lifelines team, pursue a career within the financial service arena, and learn from one of the best. I mean, the organization that my father has kind of created with his partner is nothing shy of a miracle. It has a lot to offer, and I have a lot of good guidance. But like he said, outside of the work environment, we're very family oriented. Our values, our principles, everything that we kind of base ourselves on is extremely family oriented. We volunteer coach my nephew and his grandson's scooter league, like he said. I've done some volunteer work with Save the Sound organization, cleaning the surrounding beaches and working with an organization like that. So that's one of the things that kind of intrigued us to start a connection and kind of get the opportunity to meet you guys a little bit better, because I have seen the downside and the struggles of elderly care. I've gone through it firsthand with my grandfather, and whether it be insurance based or whether it be daily need or anything of the sort, there is a lot of difficulty when it comes to elderly care and people helping people. That's one of the biggest things that struck me. So being involved in an organization where its entire premise is people helping people, I mean, that's just something that we want to be a part of and get to know a little bit better. So we're here and we're happy that you're giving us your time, and we're ready to kind of move forward with something.
That's great. Well, we recognize that personally and professionally, you've been affected by, people aging and all the implications that happen. And we're also thinking, 20 years ahead of the lack of retirement savings for some people, the possible depletion of Social Security, less pensions, this generation not saving as much in their 401k, and other social economic issues that have developed over time. And that's really why we started Your Community Cares, in order to help promote improved community connections for people. And as we're growing, we're realizing, we want to collaborate with human service departments, police departments, and senior centers, among others, to really help integrate our technology and be a resource for more generations to come.
And Michelle brings up a really good point. Brian, can you explain how your company can advise people about saving for the future if they don't have a pension?
Well, I mean, Michelle, she really hit the nail on the head, right? Let's face it. Most people spend more time planning a 2-week vacation than they do their financial affairs. Our society and our economic situation it's not like it was 30 years ago. Less than 8% of the people across the country have pensions anymore. Social Security is becoming less of a guarantee, with limited amounts of people entering the workforce, in comparison to the amount of people retiring. And that's plain and simple. It's due to the fact that people are having less children. And also our country's running up an astronomical amount of debt. And contrary to popular belief, we're in a historic low for tax brackets right now. And I know most people wouldn't agree with that, but historically we are. So all the uncertainty of the future means that we kind of have to steer away from relying on the government and steer away from relying on Social Security. The smartest way and the most effective way to prepare yourself for your financial future is by proactively planning. Rather than reacting to the problem once you're faced with it, getting ahead of it and proactively planning for your ideal future. Getting really clear on what your ideal retirement, your ideal future financially looks like at an early stage, and kind of mentally preparing yourself for your future milestones. That's the way that you approach anything for the future. So when we try and look at someone's financial situation and advise towards thinking for the future, you're not going to plan solely for putting away as much money as you possibly can for the future. There's a lot of impeding factors. You have to consider leveling your risk to your return. You have to consider taxation as a change. And that's huge, diversifying your taxation, because like we said, we're in historic lows right now. And some people may not know that and they may not understand that. But the fact that we are in lows and the changes in administration and some of the debt that we've incurred and the funding that needs to go into limited plans, you really have to consider taxation when you're looking towards the future. So we try and create a very holistic and coordinated experience realistically. And we pride ourselves on educating our clients. We don't push any one decision one way versus the other way, but we really educate people on effective money strategies, effective financial planning for the future. And once educated enough, they feel comfortable and confident enough to make the decisions on their own by themselves.
That's great. You know, for us as a foundation, as a nonprofit, you know, we rely on grants, municipal funding, sponsors, and private donations. Fran, how do businesses or individuals benefit from giving a tax deduction by donating to our organization? Could you break it down for us?
I can, and that's a great question. And charitable giving really is a win-win situation. It's a win for the charity, and it's a win for the donor. Let's go to the charity side for a minute and how important the work is that you're doing. If you haven't experienced it firsthand, you don't realize how dire the situation is. We have an aging population, and to the point that's been discussed already, it's going to get worse. People are living longer. People are getting married later, having less children. And we're going to have an epidemic of elderly people that are not getting the care that they need. They're going to fall through the cracks, largely because we're overstrung in our economy right now in terms of what our government can support economically. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that need certain services for dignity of life and for safety that they're not going to be able to get through the system, and they're not going to be able to afford them. They're also in a situation where the demographics of families are a lot different. We're very fortunate that our family is all very close, but unlike 20, 30, 40 years ago, a lot of kids move away and they may not have their children or their grandchildren close to them to help. So without the charitable organizations such as your organization, Your Community Cares, that can be able to help them get the types of services to live comfortably, we're going to be in big trouble. And you know what's really interesting? I watched a movie recently. It was called Going in Style. And there's a bank robbery going on. And during the bank robbery, Michael Caine's laying on the floor. And when Roberts with a mask comes over him and he pulls his wallet out and says, "Here, take my wallet." And he says to him, "I don't want your wallet." He says, "It is the responsibility of a community to take care of their elders." I thought that was pretty interesting. It really struck me. And I think it is a responsibility. The older population laid the groundwork for where we are today. A lot of the freedoms that we have, a lot of the different luxuries that we have, and yet many of them are going to be in a situation in those golden years that's not going to be optimal. So without charities such as yourself that are going to help the disabled, help the elderly to be able to get the types of services that they need for quality of living, the system is not going to provide it. So that's where the charity wins and people win. Now, the flip side is the donor wins. And how does the donor win? The donor wins at two basic levels. Number one, they know that they're doing something to make a difference in society. That's important. I think we all need to do something, and I agree with Brian that inherently society is good. We'll be led to believe by the media and by everything we hear today that there's a lot of evil going on, and I suspect it is, but most people are good. And I think that most people would like to help if they can. And I would say that obviously higher income people, wealthier people are in a better position to give. But if you can't give economically, you can certainly give your time. And I'm sure your organization would benefit from people, if can't give economically, can give their time. But for the people that have the means, and they have the higher income, higher net worth individuals, classically, charitable giving has had some downfalls. The first is a large discount on what you gift for what you can deduct from your taxes. The other thing is a basic lack of control of the asset. Well, this is one of our areas of specialty and very germane to our conversation today is the advanced charitable planning that we do. We use vehicles that are literally, we call them 2.0 instead of 1.1. People can take a capitally appreciated asset, place it into a vehicle, and sell that asset, experience no capital gains whatsoever. Inside the confines of that particular structure, they have creditor proof and no tax on the growth of the asset. For doing that, they're going to get a large tax deduction, probably 90 cents on the dollar of the gift they've made, carried forward over 3 years. So you eliminate any capital gains on the sale of an asset using this structure, get a large income tax deduction. But here's the key. They get to control the rate at which the charities get the money. They can give them some now, some later. And the fact that they have control over the asset, they can also bring it back out into their estate through tax-free loans and build more wealth for their family, for their future, for multiple generations as they leverage more that they can also give to charity. So we really have focused a lot on the type of charitable strategies that will really maximize the tax deductions for those that are philanthropically inclined so that everybody wins.
So what you're saying basically is that a wealthy person could donate to the organization and get a tax break at the same time. So it's sort of a win-win for both parties.
An individual can be selling a business that's significantly appreciated, a stock portfolio that they want to diversify, a piece of land, virtually any asset other than a qualified asset like an IRA or something that has tax advantages. And if they put it in the vehicle, they can sell it and eliminate all gains. Now, we know that's going to get worse because gain tax is on the docket right now to be increased moving into 2021, especially for the wealthy. So that's number one. Number two, if they are high income earners, not bad to be able to take your AGI and reduce it by 90%. Now, here's the issue. When you look at those types of deductions and not give up control of the asset and the rate at which they pass it to charity, when you look at the magnitude of those deductions, when it's done the right way with the right charity, they stay in control. But if you look at the amount of tax savings and then you multiply that through years and years of additional wealth, the client wins, the donor wins, but there is also a lot more that can be given to the charity.
Well, that would be a great opportunity for us to continue to grow with that type of out of the box thinking for that, those people that are so fortunate to be needing to have those tax breaks and want to give to nonprofits. That's a great option. I know. Besides that, what is the other type of work that you do at strategiclifelines.com?
Sure. We're a lot of things to a lot of different people. There is the reason that we call it strategic, and you'll see if you look over my shoulder here, the IC is actually a different color and in a square box. Yep. That's by design because what we are is intellectual capital specialists. And we use our intellectual capital between my partner and I. There's probably not much that we haven't seen. We bring almost 70 years of experience to the financial arena. We stay on top of things, but we are a lot of things to a lot of different people. So to high net worth individuals, we can help them put together a holistic, proactive plan with a focus on tax planning to make sure that all aspects of the plan are working in harmony. For people that are small business owners, we can help them reduce taxes, reduce business expenses, understand the value of their business and how to protect what they've worked so hard to build, how to eventually exit that business and get out of the business with the least amount of tax consequences possible, understanding that the value they'll extract from that business in conjunction with the rest of their assets are going to allow them to live comfortably in retirement and pass on to their children what they want. And germane to this conversation, we are specialists in the charitable planning arena. What we really do is we focus on strategies that can maximize tax deductions for philanthropically inclined individuals so that they give more to charities such as what you are trying to accomplish in the community and still build more wealth for their families than they would otherwise. So that's, we're a lot of things to a lot of different people.
That's amazing.
Sounds good. We don't want to keep Brian out. So Brian, what else would you like to share with the people that are listening to add to what Fran has said? Or
I kind of think, I mean, he hit the nail on the head realistically. I mean, between the intellectual capital, between the two managing partners alone, I mean, they've seen a lot of very advanced planning needs. We also do, more rudimentary needs on a regular basis between legal planning, wealth management planning, tax planning, business planning, like you said, a lot of protection planning as well. So there's a very holistic approach that this organization and this company has to bring to anyone's financial situation realistically. But what we want is, if any of what we're going over resonates with you, just reach out. We'd love to talk to you. Love the opportunity to understand where you're at financially in any aspect or any of your planning needs that need to be addressed. Give us a call at 475-355-0707 or visit our website at strategiclifelines.com. We're also on Facebook and on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, so I know that in this virtual world, you're able to connect to more and more people, and that's great. That I know you guys are located in Cheshire, and we're actually having a big event in Cheshire to celebrate one of our community members who's turning 107 next month. So we just got a proclamation from the governor for his birthday, and we're really excited to be working with the Cheshire Senior Center to organize the event, and we hope you guys are able to come by and get involved with the surprise. We don't want to, give him too much of a surprise that it affects his health, but a surprise birthday parade on November 21st at 12 o'clock. And that's a great opportunity for people to drive by and, honk and wave and show their support of the aging community that really, he is an amazing person. Frank has all of his faculties. He's out walking every day with his walker, and he just wanted a companion, and that's where he reached out to us, and we're hoping to get more integrated in the Cheshire community. And we're so glad to have you guys as another Cheshire business to be collaborating with.
Yeah, and I think he's, I mean, like Michelle said, he does have his wits, and he's rather intelligent, and he was in the finance arena. So
yeah, he was a financial advisor.
I wouldn't be surprised if him hearing about you guys, and look out, he might try to apply.
Hey,
He's
we'll
welcome
take
with
him.
us.
That's a lot. That's a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. And there's something to be said for that.
Absolutely.
Wow.
But we're excited, and we thank you both for being here today with us. And we know that financial stability is scary for a lot of people, and so
Absolutely.
people understanding their options is really what we're trying to hope to get across to people. And also, if people want to donate to the organization, that will allow us to also grow as well. So
yeah, we're definitely, we're trying to, as we said earlier, we're trying to help people from all different aspects in life, socially, emotionally, neighbors helping neighbors as individuals, but even as businesses, because a business is a part of the community, and the more that they get involved and they're able to assist individuals, it helps really harmonize things.
because those are their clients, their customers are within that town as well. So we recognize that businesses are trying to do their part in giving back. We're receiving more businesses that want to do community service in their town. So it really is a great opportunity for us to try to network with more businesses and give them some more guidance. And we'll definitely be directing people to your website as they need more information.
Well, absolutely. And like you had just said, through the pandemic and through the COVID-19 pandemic, not only have we financially and economically seen some turmoil, but as a society, just as a society as a whole, realistically. And that's what the organization is all about. It's people helping people. And that's what we need to get back to, is kind of that mentality and that, aspect of life, realistically, is people helping people. So we are so glad to be here and collaborate with you guys. And we're excited for what comes in the future.
Great.
Thank you very much for having us today.
Thank you for being
Yeah,
here.
thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
Well,
Have a great